Hey everybody, hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for checking out my video today. Just wanted to show off my complete set of Barber half dollars. And I agonized over this and tried a few times to record this video. And after a few attempts that were over 2 hours long, I kid you not, I decided I need to ramble a lot less and just show these coins. And if you folks have any questions about them or any comments about them, go ahead and leave them in the comments section and I will reply to you, or if it's a really in-depth question, I'll make another video about it and upload that in response. So without further ado, we'll try not to make this video 2 hours long, and we'll just show you these coins and let you appreciate them. So just let me know what you think, and as I said, if you have any questions, comments, feedback, please leave them in the comments, and I'll get back to you, I promise. So here's the 1892. Nice coin, still got some luster on it. I'd say it's AU. 1892O. Key date of the series, tough one to find in better grades. So this one's a fair 2, very well worn. Hope to upgrade it when I can afford it and when I find a nice one. Here's an 1892S. High grade details, AU details, but as you can see, cleaned. All these hairlines that really pop out. On the fields of the coin, on the devices of the coin, on the reverse, all over the fields here. Harshly cleaned, still got some decent eye appeal. I'm happy with this. 1893, as you can see, does have some surface issues. You can see this kind of pockmarked quality to the surfaces here, especially on the obverse. I think that could be one of two things. Could be environmental damage that was later removed, corrosion or something that was later removed. But I think more likely what happened is this coin was dipped. And of course, nowadays we have modern dipping solutions like MS-70, things like that. But back in the day, if you wanted to dip your coin, you had to use acid. So I think in this case, the coin was dipped in acid in an attempt to improve its appearance. And the problem with acid, of course, is that it'll eat away everything indiscriminately. So if you dip a coin in acid, it's going to get like this textured kind of surface because the acid is literally eating away the coin. So I think that's what happened. Whether or not this is a market acceptable coin, whether or not it'll straight grade, I don't know. It looks decent in hand, so there's only one way to find out, and that's to send it in for grading, but don't have the money for that at the moment, so it's going to have to wait. 1893O, this one's very fine details, but as you can see, somebody decided to take some kind of knife blade or razor blade or something and test it out on the obverse of this coin, which is too bad, because it's a tough one to find in better grades, but on the plus side, I was able to get it pretty cheap. 1893S, this is another one that's considered a key date in the series. This one's a solid good. Nice coin overall. Got it from my local coin shop. Thought I got a terrific deal on it until I took it home and I saw, oh, what's this on the neck here? Can't really see it from this angle, but yeah, those are hairlines. This was spot cleaned. Somebody took something fairly abrasive and wiped the surface of this. So it is cleaned. Still looks decent. Tough one to find. Even in good 4, a tough one to find. 1894, this one was another local coin shop pickup. This one's problem free. This one's a nice coin. Surprisingly hard to find for a high mintage, supposedly common date. Took me a while. I had a hole filler for a long time that was really slick, and when I after about 2 or 3 years of looking for one that fit my budget, boom, in the local coin shop found this one. Didn't hesitate. And still have it. That's how tough these are to find in better grades. 1894O, another tough early issue in the Barber half dollar series. This one's another good, maybe good plus. You can see that this reverse rim is starting to fill out. Generally for a good plus or a good 6, you want to see 2 full rims on the coin. This one's almost there, but the obverse is a little bit weak. Usually for a good 6, I want to see a little bit more of this headband, maybe a couple of letters of Liberty. Here you can really only see the Y, so it's somewhere between good and good plus. 1894S, this was a very high mintage issue, but being an early S mint, not as common as you might think, especially in better grades. This one's a very fine. It's a little pecked. It's got a lot of bag marks here on the obverse. So what causes bag marks is especially when you have higher denomination, heavier coins, and you're transporting them from one place to another. You just throw a bunch of coins in a bag, and the bag gets knocked around. The coins get knocked around. They bang into each other, and they leave these impressions on the surface of each other, and I think that's what happened here. I think these are all bag marks on Liberty's cheek here, which is a shame. It does detract a little bit from the eye appeal, but still, in my opinion, a problem-free coin. Here's an 1895. Also, I would say very fine, a little bit closer to XF. This one may be a VF35. You can see here Liberty is a little bit bolder than on the previous coin, so less hesitation to call it a higher grade. Surface quality, was dipped at some point. You can tell because it's just a little bit too clean for a very fine coin. You want to see, if it's completely original, you want to see it. The surface is more grimy, a little darker in patina. This one was dipped at some point, but still, market acceptable. This coin's 127 years old, so with the attitudes around cleaning coins that were prevalent up until I would say the 70s, most coins of this vintage have been altered at some point. It's just a question of how harshly and how recently the cleaning was done. And in this case, I think because it looks like it's retoned, and there aren't horrible hairlines all over it, I would say this is a market acceptable dipping, and this coin would straight grade, which is good news for me. 1895O, nice details on this and a nice dark patina, nice dark toning to it, but yeah, it does have some problems. There are some pin scratches on the obverse here. Pin scratches usually happen when coin is mishandled. It's put into a cardboard 2x2 holder, and of course we usually close those with staples. When you're taking the coin out, you scrape it against those staples. I think that's what happened here because these scratches are fairly fresh. They don't have the same toning as the rest of the coin, so unfortunately that's what happened there, I think. And on the reverse we have these environmental damage spots, corrosion spots, and that's also a shame. But overall, this is still an appealing coin. Next one's an 1895S. Tough one to find. This one I settled on because I'd been looking for higher grade 1895S for a long time. Might have overpaid a little bit for this guy, as it's not the most appealing specimen out there, but still was happy to find one in what I consider to be, a mid VF. This one I would say 25, 30, around there. And you can see that surfaces were cleaned at some point. And unrelated to the cleaning, these are not cleaning hairlines. These are just scratches, old scratches. Not sure what happened there, but yes, maybe some graffiti or something like that. Somebody just decided to scratch this coin up a little bit at some point in its life. But the primary concern I have with this coin is this black stuff. So, there's some black staining here on the reverse, along with what appears to be pitting. These spots on the coin, I think might be pitting. So the black stains also, I think, might be environmental damage. 1896. This was one of the earlier coins I got for the set. Looking back, I do regret it a little bit because it's not the most appealing visually. It's got this black toning, and typically when a coin retones this kind of black color, that's another sign that it was dipped in acid at some point. Those kinds of coins tend to retone with a dark color like this. And the reverse has a nice cameo effect because of how deep the black is and how uniform it is. But on the obverse, it just kind of looks splotchy, and it's kind of unattractive. But that being said, this is a tougher one to find in a grade like this. This one I would say is VF. So overall, I can't be too upset, especially considering that I paid a lot less than I thought I would for it. But if I could do it over again, I'd probably hold out for a nice one with a more neutral patina to it. 1896. Oh, this one is graded by NGC. It's an about good 3. This is a semi-key date in the series, and I got a really good deal on it. So even though it's lower grade than I'd like for this set, still a nice hole filler and gives me a lot of time to save up for that finer, better one when it becomes available. 1896S, another one graded NGC, about good 3. Pretty much the same story as the previous coin. I got a really good price on this, even though it's not the grade that I'd want for the set. Can't complain because it fills that slot in my collection. Uh, some people might be a little surprised that this got a straight grade because, you know, there are it does look like it's been cleaned at some point. So you can see all of these hairline scratches, particularly on the reverse. And the thing is, okay, when a coin gets down to this grade, you'll notice that the rim on the obverse is very flat, and on the reverse, it's completely gone. Um, so the rim is there to protect the design elements of the coin from scratches like these, from everyday handling. And when the rims are gone, the coin is just going to pick up scratches from being handled like white on rice. So that's what you see here. These are not necessarily signs of a harsh cleaning. These are just incidental scratches from being circulated with no rims. And so I think NGC kind of recognized that, and so they gave this coin a straight grade. 1897, and I do have a story to tell about this coin if you'll allow me to ramble for a little bit. Got this one early on in the Barber half set quest, if you will, and it looked good in the pictures. You know, the pictures were not the greatest, so you know didn't have a whole lot to go off of. But in the pictures, it looked great. It looked like a problem-free high, you know, mid to high VF coin. So I put a bid on it and I won it, and you know, was waiting for it to come in the mail, and it came, and as soon as I popped it out of the bubble wrap, I said, oh no, this is a problem coin. This has been cleaned. And it doesn't look so bad in these pictures, but yeah, if you look at it in hand, it's got obvious signs of cleaning. The luster on it, the surface quality of this, the luster is flat. It's got that uniform dead fisheye luster that just gives away the fact that it was dipped at some point and dipped fairly heavily. And it looks really odd. You know, sometimes you get away with that on a higher grade XF or AU, but in the very fine range, when you get a coin that's been dipped, it just looks odd, you know, because of all the wear on it, and the surfaces should not look that clean. And that's the case with this coin. So I'll just tell you, I paid about $145 for this, which is about what I'd expect to pay for a problem-free one in this grade. So to pay that for a cleaned one kind of hurts. But, you know, at the time, I didn't know better, and that's just a lesson to everybody out there, regardless, you know, Barber half dollars or what, whatever series you collect. Make sure you know the coin before you buy it. Make sure you know what it's supposed to look like in the grade that you're looking at, so that you can suss out a coin like this and say, oh no, that's a problem coin. I'm not paying problem-free money for it. 1897-0, another better date in the Barber half series. Same deal as the other NGC certified coins that I showed you earlier. I got it because I got a really good deal on it, even though it's lower grade than I'd like. This one was graded about good 3. For the grade, it's very nice. You know, still has a lot of eye appeal. Nice patina, nice toning, nice circulation cameo to it. And this wear pattern is typical for Barber half dollars. For whatever reason, the obverse withstands wear better than the reverse does. It's not uncommon to see an obverse like this that, you know, if you didn't look at this reverse at all and you just saw the obverse, you'd say, oh, that's a solid good. And then you flip it over and you see that the rim is worn halfway into the letters, and you say, oh, never mind, this is about good. But this is a typical wear pattern for Barber half. The obverse withstands wear a lot longer than the reverse does. 1897S, and this is the coin that I want to upgrade the most in the entire set because it is, quite frankly, very slick and a little bit of an eyesore. But it is a key date, so it's a tough one to find. I've got to save up, and I've got to wait. I've got to be patient for a nice, problem-free, fine or better to show up. But again, you can see no rims, and so it's picked up a lot of these scratches just from being handled in circulation. That's what you see on these a lot. I would say this is a fair 2 at best. I mean, the reverse is actually close to poor 1, if not poor 1. There's only enough there to tell that it's an S. You know, it's hard to see from this picture. This is an S, I promise you that. And, you know, on the obverse, there's just barely enough to identify it as an 1897 here. So definitely one that I want to upgrade, but it's going to have to wait till I find one, and I find enough cash to get it. 1898, this one, you know, nice coin. This is what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about the 1897. When you have a higher grade coin and it's been dipped, it doesn't look quite as egregious as when it's like a VF, you know, and because you don't expect it to look as handled. So this one I would say is a low AU. I'd say this is an AU 50. But at this grade, despite the fact that it was dipped, it doesn't look as bad because it's an AU. And, when you think of AU coins, it's like, oh, they're very lightly circulated. They still have a lot of luster. So they should look like this. Even though, quite frankly, it would look nicer, completely original. It doesn't look horrible in this case. So, I'm happy with this coin. 1898 O. And again, I will go on a little bit of a tangent here. You can tell from this photo that this coin was in a Dansko album at some point. And that's because when I first started putting the set together, I did use a Dansko album. But when I started focusing on my Barber half dollars and I got more that were in better condition, and I realized that I'd be going in and swapping coins in and out all the time, I decided to abandon the Dansko and just go with 2x2s in pocket pages. For a couple of reasons. Number one, they're easier to photograph that way if you want to take individual pictures of the obverse and reverse of a particular coin. It's a lot easier than having to deal with the really unwieldy, open open album. So, that was one reason. And the other reason is easier to upgrade. And, if you get a better coin and you want to switch one out for another one, you don't have to slide out the whole the plastic slide, and risk getting slide marks on your coin, and then as you're sliding it out, all the coins fall out, and you got to deal with all that, and it's just the whole thing. So plus with the 2x2s, you can write whatever you want on them. Personally, I write, aside from the date and mint mark and the grade, I also say when I bought the coin, where I bought it from, and how much I paid. And that's something you can't do with the Dansko unless you're willing to permanently, deface it. So for those reasons, I transitioned from the Dansko. So all that's to say that I've had this coin for a very long time, and that should tell you all you need to know about how hard they are to find in better grades. 1898S. This is a nice higher grade coin, but it has been cleaned. But again, a little tangent on these. This is what they call a Philippines hoard coin, and that's 1898, 1899, and 1900S. All 3 years from the San Francisco Mint. Those are coins that were shipped from the San Francisco Mint to the Philippines as kind of a stopgap, because the United States had annexed the Philippines in 1898, and they needed some sort of currency to circulate in the interim between when they took over and when they started minting coins purpose-made for the Philippines. And so from 1898 till 1902, I believe, because in 1903 is when they first started striking peso coins for the Philippines. In that window of time, they used Barber half dollars. And so when they abolished them, they circulated for a few years, and when they made the transition to the Philippines coinage, you could redeem them, you could turn them in, but not all of them got redeemed. Some of them kind of hung out for a long time, and when they were rediscovered many years later, they had become collector's items because they were high-grade Barber half dollars. The problem is most of them were stored improperly, and the climate in the Philippines is very hot and humid. So most of these coins toned very unattractively. And of course, this was in a time, I would say maybe in the 50s or 60s, this was at a time when cleaning attitudes were a little bit more relaxed than they are today. So people just cleaned the coins improperly, we would say today. And so, most of the high-grade 1898, 1899, 1900S Barber half dollars that you see are from what they call now this Philippines hoard. And so they'll show, they'll be XF, AU, but they'll have signs of obvious cleaning. And that's the case with this coin. You can see the hairline scratches. This is, cleaned a little harshly. Not too badly, still an attractive coin. So that's the story behind that. 1899, this is another certified coin, and this one is kind of the crown jewel, if you will, at least in terms of grade, of my Barber half set. This one's an ANAX certified AU 58. There is a little bit of a prevailing attitude, and not just with Barber halves, but with any collectible coin, that PCGS and NGC are top tier, and any other grading services is, worth less. So that being the case, this coin in an ANAX holder was offered up for auction on eBay, and luckily the seller provided some nice pictures of it. And this is something you can do too if you have a good eye for grading. Is you can buy the coin and not the holder, right? So despite the fact that this was in an Anax holder, I looked at it and I said, oh, this looks accurately graded. This looks like an AU58 to me. It's very lustrous, just a little bit of wear on the high points of the design. The very, very appealing coin overall. So I got it for significantly less than it would have sold for if it were in, a quote-unquote top-tier grading services holder. Personally, I don't have any issue with other companies' grading services, with one caveat. It has to be one of the big four. ANAX is fine. ICG is even fine with me. But if you have some like star grading service or national numismatic certification or something like that, definitely want to look really closely at those coins, because they would have no qualms with calling a details coin a problem free and overgrading it by 2 grades. But as far as ANAX and ICG go, I don't have a problem with them. You just have to know the coin and know the grading standards, and buy the coin, not the holder. And in this case, I did that, and I got a terrific deal. This is a beautiful coin. 1899 O. This one, happy to have found it, because I had been stuck with a really low grade one for a long time, and this one, as you can see, has that full liberty. Even though this was cleaned at some point, it was I would say moderately cleaned. Not harshly, but just dipped, and you can tell because the patina of this coin is so light. And like I said, that's okay. That's expected of a coin of this vintage. I would prefer it, of course, if it were fully original, but finding those are even fewer and farther between, and these are tough enough to find as it is. So more than happy to have this one. 1899S, and we talked about the Philippines Horde coins. I think this is another one. It's a high grade from the San Francisco Mint in that window, and it does appear to have been lightly cleaned, but not as harshly as the 1898S that I showed you. So this is a nice coin in the XF range. The one thing that I am concerned about is this scratch on the reverse, and I'm not sure. I've seen worse than this go without comment, but I've seen less significant damage than that get a details grade. So who knows? But all I know is it's a nice XF, and I call it problem free XF, and that's how it sits in my collection today. 1900, and this is another one that I regret buying a little bit for the same reason as that 1896 I showed you earlier. It just it's not that appealing because it's got that black toning, and again, caused by being dipped in acid a long time ago, and it retones really darkly. It's all right, I guess. I mean, it's very fine, close to XF. It's a higher VF, but just that the dark toning really detracts from the eye appeal for me personally. I'm sure there are people out there who don't mind it or even like it, but I just it doesn't look that great sitting next to the other coins in the set. 1900 O. This one does have a couple of issues. There's this residue on the reverse. I don't know what that is. Maybe somebody put some tape on it and then took it off, and it left behind sticky stuff. A couple of old toned over scratches here. And this, I'm not sure what that is. Maybe somebody tried to drill a hole in it at some point, but only got that far. I don't know. But, aside from that, it's a fairly appealing coin. I like the color of it. Whether you could call it a full fine or not, I'm not sure. I mean, I personally think it overall, the details are in line with a fine 12. But, this weakness in Liberty, the BER especially, is a little bit weaker than I know most people would be comfortable with. But I call it a fine. 1900S, and another Philippines Horde coin, but this one has a host of issues, not just the cleaning. Not sure what happened to it exactly. Somebody was testing out their auger or their awl on it, maybe. I don't know, because you've got this here on the obverse, and on the reverse you've got this one too. You've got some scratches here and here and here, and of course, as I mentioned, this has been cleaned too. But this one, being that it's AU details, I would say low AU details. Happy with it, especially considering what I paid. Here's a 1901. It's decent looking enough, I guess, but it's kind of got this uneven patina. The color of it is just a little bit uneven for my liking. So I'm not sure what the deal is with that. It was probably cleaned at some point, non-harshly dipped or something like that. But yeah, the coloring is just a little strange. It's darker in areas and it's lighter in areas, and it's just uneven, and it looks a little funny. And I wish I had waited to buy one that was a little more original looking. But as it is, it is a VF, and I'm happy with it. I'm not in a huge rush to upgrade this. Money is a limiting factor in putting the set together, and I'm not about to replace an OK coin with another one just because. 19010, and I have a story to tell about this one as well. I had been making do with a 19010 that was pretty slick. I think it was like a fair 2, and I think it was bent too, so it was a problem coin in a really low grade. And I was really anxious to find an upgrade, but I wasn't about to just upgrade it with any coin. There's no point in me shelling out money to upgrade a fair 2 to like a good 4 and then a very good. Might as well just hold out for the coin that I want to show up. And then I went to a coin show recently, first one we had in the area in 2 years, and just ecstatic that we're starting to have coin shows again, and really raring to go. And I finally go, and wouldn't you know it, I find this 19010, and it looks like it's fine, choice fine, even fine 15 maybe, and it's a really nice coin, and it's priced right. Dealer's asking 75, and I'm ready to buy it on the spot, but I don't have enough cash. So I tell the guy, all right, I got to go to the ATM. I'll be back. But when I finally made my way back to the table, it was still there. And he said, you know what? I'll give it to you for 65. And I said, okay, well, that's even better. I'll take it. So, just so excited to find this upgrade to my set. Didn't look at it super closely. I just saw that it was a, higher grade coin. Then I take it home and I look at it under a lamp, and, take my loop to it and everything. And then I notice the graffiti. Of course, this is a problem coin. You can see all these scratches here. This looks like an M, another M. This looks like an E here. And on the reverse, maybe an N or something like that. So, real shame. I thought I had finally found the coin that would fill the slot for all eternity, and it turns out to be a problem coin. But that's life sometimes, and it just means I'll be hunting longer for that problem-free coin to fill this slot. 1901S, this one is a conditional rarity. It's tough to find in better grades, and this one's a nice, appealing, very fine. I like the look of it a lot. I like the color. I like the quality of the surfaces. The one thing that I wish were the case with this coin is that I wish it had been struck a little bit stronger. If you take a look at other photos of 1901S's in about this grade, or even higher grades, you'll notice that some of them are really well struck, and some of them are not. And unfortunately, this one was not really well struck. And the way you can tell with any Barber half dollar whether or not it's struck well is you take a look at the reverse. You look at this area right here. You look at the upper right corner of the shield, and you look at the area where the right wing joins the shield. And on a well-struck coin, these areas will be, mostly filled in. But on a weakly struck coin, you'll see this. You'll see that the lines on the shield do not extend all the way across, and you'll see that the wing is missing some of the detail over here. So this coin is lightly struck, but the overall wear level, I would say, is easily a 25. This could even be a 30. The problem is the grading services don't have a whole lot of time to make that determination. They'll just quickly look at the coin. They'll maybe take 10-15 seconds looking at it. And they're not Barber half dollar specialists too. So they're not going to say, oh, 1901S, some of these were weakly struck. You got to take that into account when you grade it. So I think if I were to send this in, they'd probably give it a 20. But it is what it is. I appreciate the coin for what it is, and it's certainly very appealing and a toughie to find in this grade. 1902. This is another, it's a fairly unremarkable date in the Barber half series, but this is a nicer example of a 1902. it does have that kind of nice gunmetal gray color that you like to see on a VF. Nice even wear, original surfaces. So this is kind of like the textbook look that you want a VF to have. 19020, and this one's got some scratches on the obverse here, but they're old and toned over, so I don't think they're that distracting. A tough branch mints tend to be a little bit tougher to find than Philadelphia mint coins. This one's no exception, so glad to have found this one. 1902S. This one was a recent pickup, and S-mint barbers tend to be tougher to find, especially in higher grades than the other mints in particular. So, I was happy to find this one. I call this one a fine. There is this kind of, green residue looking stuff. I don't think it's PVC damage, and I don't think it's environmental damage either. I looked at it real closely, and I think it's just gunk, circulation gunk. 1903. This one's a nice VF, high VF, close to XF. If you catch a grader on a good day, they might call this XF, but it does have some issues. There's this rim ding on the reverse. There's some damage here. I'm not sure what happened. Looks like it was just scraped against something. This is damage here on the talon, on the right side of the tail, on the letter A here. Some rim nicks, there. And overall, a nice coin. 1903. This one I'm on the fence about. It was obviously dipped at some point. There is some surface reflectivity that you can see even in this photo on the obverse. It's a little bit more shiny than you'd want a low XF to be, but whether or not that cleaning is objectionable or not is a judgment call. I personally think that I would call this a straight grade, but you never know when you send stuff in, especially because it also has these kind of old scratches on the neck here. I'm not sure if they might say something about that too. But overall, for a branch mint XF Barber $half, I'm happy with this. 1903S, and interesting story here. I bought this off of eBay, and the seller had two of them. And I think he sent me the wrong one. But, quite honestly, it was kind of ambiguous from the pictures that he had. They weren't the best quality photos. So I couldn't definitively say, hey, you sent me the wrong coin. So I just decided to live with it. Nice VF, but hard to tell from these photos, but this has been cleaned. The surfaces are pretty reflective, but as it is a tougher issue to find in higher grades, I was happy to settle for this one. It was very affordable too, and that was a plus. 1904. This is another one that I was a little disappointed in when I bought it. It looks okay in these pictures, but in hand it is pretty dark. It's reached what they call the terminal state in its toning, which is a very dark brown. Like I said, it looks nice in these pictures, but if I were to show it to you in person, you'd say, "Oh, wow, that coin's dark." And yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. So maybe someday I'll replace it with one that's a little bit more neutral in color. 1904. Oh, this is another one that I spent forever trying to find a nicer one of. I had one that was about good. Somebody put this one up on eBay, and I got it for I think $14, which was a real deal. I wasn't going to go much higher than that, because like I said, if I'm going to upgrade a coin, I'd like to go straight to the grade that I want to get. But this one, it had just been bothering me for so long that I couldn't find a nicer 1904 and the price was right. So I decided, okay, what the heck, I'll get this one. And for what it is, it's a nice problem-free good. It's got good eye appeal for the grade. It kind of looks the way that you want your goods to look, and so I'm happy with it for now. 1904S, and this one's a conditional rarity. This one is fairly notorious in the Barber half series for being really difficult to find in any grade above like good 4, good 6 even. But, so I found this one. It's fine details, and if it were a problem-free coin, PCGS lists it in the price guide for like $550 or something crazy like that. And that's look on eBay and see what people are getting for these in fine 12. That's not far off the mark. That's how scarce these are in that grade. But of course, you know, this has got issues. It's whatever this is, some kind of graffiti. Somebody got bored and had a razor blade and decided to have some fun with this, unfortunately. And then you've got all these marks on the back of Liberty's head here. I'm not sure what those are, some kind of contact marks. And on the reverse, yeah, some scratches here. And on top of that, it's been cleaned. But with all that being said, you know, I'm more than happy with this, and what I paid for it was awesome. You know, just to have one in fine details like this is tough, and I'm really happy with it. 1905. This is a low mintage issue, one of the scarcer Philadelphia mint issues, and I found this one for a really good price. It has been cleaned. It's been lightly cleaned. In hand, if you rotate it the right way, you can see the faint hairlines on the obverse. Yeah, it's been cleaned, but you know, still got great eye appeal. Still looks nice. Looks the way that a VF should look. So, you know, brings me a lot of joy to look at this one. 1905O, another low mintage. This one's tough to find. Believe it or not, I found this at my local coin shop, and I got it really cheap. My local coin shop has a bunch of boxes that you can look through, and you know, one of the boxes is Barber $half, and anything in that box is $15. And I found this in the box, believe it or not. And this is not common by any means. This is a tough date to find. And even though it's got, you know, a little bit of environmental damage, there's some discoloration here. You know, despite that and the scratches, you know, I was really happy to find this one for $15. So, you know, maybe not the most appealing, and one that I'd like to upgrade someday, but considering how tough it is to find these, it's gonna be in my collection for a while. 1905S. I've had this one for a long time and been meaning to replace it because it has been cleaned, but haven't found the right one yet to replace it. So this one is finding a home in my collection, and it probably will be for some time. 1906, and I love coins that look like this. This is an XF, and it looks like it's untouched. You know, it looks like it was just pulled directly from circulation and stuck in a drawer somewhere and reemerged 100 years later, completely unscathed. This is what an XF should look like. You know, it should look like it was circulated for a little while and picked up some dirt and grime from being touched and handled, and then it just found its way into someone's collection. And you know, I love this coin. I can't say enough about it and just how great it looks. And I wish all my coins looked like this, but you know, I mean, the reality is you've got to accept coins that have been manipulated one way or another, because that's just the way most of them are, especially if you're going after high grade ones like this. 1906D, this is a higher grade. This is, I would say, high XF, low AU. You know, just a nice high grade coin. That's not particularly, this one is not particularly rare. You know, 1906D was a high mintage year, and a lot of them survived compared to other years. No Barber half in high grade is truly what you would call common or available, but this is one that you can find, you know, without too much trouble if you're willing to pay the price. But a nice coin overall. 1906O. This one's a fine, you know, not too much to say about this one. Just it's got a nice color, you know. I'm content with it. I'm not rushing out to upgrade this one. It meets the criteria that I set for this collection of fine and better. So, you know, I'm content with it. 1906S. This is a surprisingly tough one to find in better grades. You know, it's not reflected in the mintage numbers or anything like that. And if you ask a non-specialist about this coin, you know, they might say, oh, it's just a generic date, or it might be considered like a slightly better date. But no, it's tough to find in better grades. This one's cleaned. You know, it does have its issues. It's cleaned and it's scratched on the obverse here. But I got it really cheap. And, you know, like I said, I was looking for one for a while and finally found this one, so settled for this one. Got a good deal on it, I think. So, 1907, This one is a little bit too clean looking for my liking, but you know, it is what it is. It's a higher grade, and I got it. I got a good deal on it, so you know, I'm happy with it. I do wish that it looked a little more original. You can tell that it was dipped at some point, but that's just that's what you trade in when you deal with coins of this vintage. 1907D, and this is a really nice coin that I got a great deal on. This is mid to high AU right here. I would call it a 55 all day. You can see, well, maybe you can't see from these photos. It's not the greatest photos, but you know, still a lot of luster left. A lot of luster, particularly on the reverse. You know, it's almost full luster there. Just a nice um, type coin and a nice example of this Dayton mint. Not particularly scarce, you know, by Barber half-dollar standards. You can find 1907Ds if you're willing to pay for them. But I was happy to found this one for a really good price. 1907O. This one's, you know, another decent example. You can see this one's kind of cool. It's from a late dye state. You can see here that it's got these striations near the edge, and that's caused by stress on the die. You know, probably struck a few thousand more after this, and then it just failed. That's what I like to imagine. But yeah, that's what that is. But just a nice coin, you know, a nice solid VF. 1907S, and again you see the Dansko in the background. That tells you that I've had this for a long time, and that's because this is tough to find. Like I said, those S mints, they're very elusive. You know, if you ask someone who doesn't specialize in Barber halves, oh, what do you think of the 1907S? I don't think that they'll come back with, oh, it's tough to find and anything better than good. You know, I don't think they'd realize that. But it's scarce. It is very scarce. I've been looking this whole time and I haven't found an upgrade to this, so that should tell you a lot. 1908, and again, not a scarce date, not a tough date to find, but this one's really lovely. You know, it's got this nice golden toning, and I don't know, you know, why that happened, how this one toned so nicely, but it did. Really appealing, just a great coin to look at. So you know, that's that. Next one up is in 1908D. This one is certified, but it's from a company that's kind of marginal. This one is from Segs. This is a Segs slab. Uh, and I tried to do a little research on them. You know, from what I can tell, they were uh, most prevalent maybe around 15 years ago. Since then, I'm not sure if they're still in operation or not. But from what I understand, kind of a mid to low tier grading company. But anyway, this is a seg slab, and it looks really noisy. It looks like it's really scratched up, but that's because it's an old slab and it's been thrown around and beaten up a little bit. The coin itself is not scratched up the way it looks in these photos. For what it's worth, Segs called it an AU50, and I tend to agree with that. That sounds accurately graded. You know, it was dipped at some point, and you can tell because it's retoned this really dark grayish black, and that's what you see from a coin that's been dipped and allowed to retone. It's kind of reached that terminal toning stage. But that being said, I mean, I don't mind it too much. I know that I said earlier, you know, those other coins that toned with that black color, they're unattractive to me. But this one, it's because it's more uniform. Like the entire coin has that kind of color, as opposed to it just being in the fields or whatever. It looks better, so I don't mind it so much. Plus, it's a higher grade, and I got it really cheap, so that helps. 1908O. Got this one fairly early on. I bought a big lot of Barber halves, just trying to fill a bunch of holes, and this was one of the coins in the lot, and I was pleasantly surprised because you know, it looked like it was just going to be a bunch of slicks that I could just plug into my album and be done with it. But there were some nicer coins in there, and this was one of them. This 1908O, and yeah, really nice. I would call this VF, close to XF. Maybe XF actually. Might be an XF40. Nice coin. 1908S, and another, you know, S mint. These are tricky. This one's About fine, I would say. Has some issues, has this rim ding here on the obverse, and the reverse, in hand is toned a little darker than this. But overall, still an appealing coin. Still a nice example of a scarcer S mint from this period. 1909. This is one that I do regret buying a little bit because it's a little more clean looking than I'd like it to be. It was clearly dipped at some point. Um, but that being said, it does still have some luster, peripherally around the edge here. And on the reverse, there's a little bit more. That's what you tend to see. The reverse um, holds luster a little longer than the obverse does because it's a busier design. It has more pockets for the luster to persist in. But yeah, this is a high grade. It's an AU, but like I said, if in 1909 is not a tough date to find. I mean, it's probably one of the most common Barber half dollars that you'll see in better grades. So I wish that I had held out for one that looked a little bit less cleaned and looked a little more original. But as it is, it's an all right coin. 1909 O, and this is a lower mintage, and it's reflected in the scarcity. It's just a tough one to find in better grades. Um, this one's close to VF, or maybe even VF if you're feeling a little generous. The issue, of course, with this is there's scratches in a prime focal location. On the obverse, you've got these scratches here, and another one here, another one here. So would this come back straight graded? Probably not, but still a nice coin with original surfaces despite the scratches. Tough to find in VF for sure. I was willing to upgrade to this one because I had one that was like about good or maybe good, and I just wanted to upgrade it. And I found this one for a really good price. So I said, it's got the scratches, but I can live with that. It still looks okay to me. So, I'll take it. 1909S. You know, um, Probably not as scarce as some of the other S mints in better grades, but still not common, not super common. So I was happy to find this one. This 1909S, has a nice dark original patina. Doesn't look like it's been dipped or anything like that. Nice original coin, and that's what I look for really. So I'm happy with this. 1910, and this is another one of those lower mintage Philadelphia issues. This one is pretty hard to find. This one definitely is in another tier above your typical P mint Barber half. This one's a nice VF, and I was really stoked to find this because I had bought another one for about the same price as this one. It looked okay in the pictures, but it was obviously cleaned, just hairlined all over it and just shiny, and I didn't like it. But fortunately, I learned my experience from buying that 1897 to only get coins from sellers that accept returns. I was able to return that one, and then a few days later, this one came up on the market, and put that money towards this one. And this one was a lot nicer, a lot more original looking, and so was happy with this buy. Got a good price on it. It does have this old scratch here in the field, but I think quite frankly that'll pass. That it's not a major thing. 1910S, higher grade details, but of course, it's got surface issues. This has been aggressively dipped, probably dipped in acid like that 1893 that I showed you, and you see that surface quality of this again. It's got that textured, kind of almost bubbly look. That's a sign of it being harshly dipped, in acid or something like that. And in this case, I think it was dipped to remove. You can see there's this kind of like this residue that still remains in some areas on the reverse. I think it was probably dipped in an attempt to remove that. But it is what it is. It's an XF. 1910S is another. It's a tougher S mint to find in better grades. So overall, I was happy with this one. 1911, another kind of unremarkable date. Just another P mint. Um, Not super tough to find. Not as common as some other dates. Like 1906, 1907, 1908. But not the scarcest one out there. You can find these if you're willing to pay for them. But this one's just a nice. I like the color of it. Like the patina. Surface quality is good. Not a whole lot to say about this one, other than it's a nice example for the grade. 1911D, and this is an unusual one because the mintage on this is super low. but most people would just treat it as a generic coin. You know, if you're not a Barber half-dollar specialist, you wouldn't necessarily know off the top of your head, oh, 1911D, that's a low mintage date. Yeah, this one I feel is a sleeper. It's definitely harder to find than most people think. Um, you know, I think I got this one in a lot too. I just bought a lot of Barber halves to fill a bunch of holes early on, and this one was in there, and it surprised me because it's a nicer one. You know, it does have a little bit of discoloration here. I'm not sure what that's about, but overall, no, nice coin that I got really cheap. 1911S. This one's just really nice. I mean, you know, this is the way that you want your VFs to look. Just they should have that grimy kind of brown patina that shows that they've been circulated for a while. And just yeah, this coin looks lovely. I mean, you know, can't say enough about it. Just a great coin, and I got it for an awesome price. You know, so definitely no complaints about this one. Wish more of my coins looked like it. 1912 and 1912s are fairly common. Again, you know, not not too much trouble to find one of these as long as you're willing to pay for it. And you know, this one's all right. You know, not it's not the most beautiful 1912 out there in a VF, but it's certainly nice. Um, you know, the surfaces are a little bit hairliney. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't call this clean necessarily. You know, it's market acceptable, but certainly could be a little bit more original looking. But for what it is, it's all right. You know, I'm happy with a coin like this. If my whole set looked like this, I'd have no complaints. Let's put it that way. 1912D. You know, nice coin here. A little bit of environmental damage on the bottoms of the letters here, but overall, you know, nice coin. Right on that VF XF cusp. You know, if you're feeling generous, you could say this is an XF. Um, just a nice coin. You know, again, not particularly rare, but um, you know, certainly still has a lot of eye appeal. Like to see this kind of grimy light brown look. Shows that it's original. You know, I like that. 1912S. You know, this is a nice coin. It's obviously been cleaned at one point. That's what causes this toning here. You know, it's kind of neat, kind of interesting. You know, tiger stripe almost toning. I like it. It's appealing, but unfortunately, it is a sign of an old cleaning. But you know, it's retoned and it's a market acceptable coin. It's a nice one. You know, I like it. Here's a 1913. 1913 was a very low mintage year for Philadelphia. This is considered a key date in the Barber half set. This one's, you know, fairly typical, good 4, maybe good 6 if you're feeling generous. That reverse rim is a little weak for me, but I guess you could call it full. Yeah, it's just a, you know, nice 1913 that's been circulated for a long time. I would like to get one finer, better someday, but as it is a key date, that's going to have to wait. I need to save up. 1913D, and this is a fantastic looking coin. You know, a nice low AU. I would say it's AU 50. Just looks terrific. You know, surfaces. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if this was dipped at some point, but it's very lightly dipped. You know, it still has a lot of luster, considering that it's, you know, low AU. You can see the luster around the rim here and on the reverse. Just a really nice coin, and you know, I was really happy to get this one for what I paid for it. It's just a real beaut. 1913S, and you know, this is a nice higher VF. Um, it looks, the thing with this coin is it looks fully original because the surfaces have that dirt on them. But if you look at it real closely, you can see that there's hairlines on it, and that's a real shame. I mean, I'm not sure what happened there. I don't know. I feel like those hairlines must have been incidental. It doesn't look like anybody intentionally tried to clean this. You know, but be that as it may, hairlines are hairlines. You know, and wouldn't be shocked if this did come back cleaned because of those hairlines, and it's a real shame because other than that, this coin looks great. It's you know, original and nice and brown. I love the color. I love the surface quality. It's a real shame about those hairlines. 1914. This is the lowest mintage coin in the entire set, and it's a tough one to find in better grades. This one's in a PCGS holder. It's graded very fine details, and yeah, obviously it's got some obverse graffiti here. I'm not sure what's going on here, and it's really too bad because aside from that, it's a really nice coin. Um, I don't know. It's hard to price problem coins like this even when they're certified, so I don't know what something like this would go for, with the damage on there, but I paid what I feel to be a very reasonable price for VF details. It's still nice, and it's a high VF, um, so is what it is. And I had the one I had before this was a fair 2. I mean, it was like super worn. So when I saw this and I put in an offer for it and I got it really cheaply for what it is. So I'm happy with it. 1914S. This one is a little bit patchy, in terms of the surface quality. It's got some hairlines. Might consider this one cleaned, but nice color, nice coin. 1914S is a little bit, I will say this, for as much as I say that, oh, this coin is rarer than people think, oh, this is underrated, I think the 1914S actually is a little bit overrated. I think even though it's an S mint and even though it has lower mintage, it's not that difficult to find in better grades. So, but I don't know. That's just my opinion. That's just my experience in looking to put together the whole set. So take that with a grain of salt, but that's my observation. 1915, another low mintage, another key date in the Barber half series. Got this from my local coin shop. It has some old graffiti. It looks like somebody scratched it all over, but it was early on in the coin's life, and so the graffiti wore off of the high points, but was left behind in the fields. Whether or not this would straight grade, I'm not sure. It's anybody's guess. But tough one to find in better grades. This one I would say is very good 8. It has a shot at a 10 maybe because this Liberty is a little stronger than you'd typically see on an 8. You can see a bit of every letter, and that's something that typically you see on a 10. So I'd like to upgrade this one at some point, but as it is a key date, gonna have to save up for it. 1915D. This is a coin that's been dipped. You can tell it's the color of the coin is uniformly light, so it was dipped at some point. I would say maybe a little bit more recently than most of the coins that I've been saying are dipped in this set, and that's unfortunate. But that being said, it wasn't a harsh cleaning. There aren't any hairlines or anything like that, so whether or not this was straight grade is hard to say. I've seen coins that look like this in PCGS holders with a straight grade. But then again, I've also seen, nicer ones than this get details. So it all depends on how the grader is feeling, what side of the bed he woke up on. So I don't know, hard to say, but I would like to find a more original one, maybe in about this grade at some point, but that's going to have to wait, as is the case with all these, budgetary concerns. And last but not least, we come to the 1915S. And this is just a nice coin. I mean, it's got the look of a circulated, mid-grade Barber half dollar. It's just a nice coin. It's got that kind of light brown patina. It looks pretty original. Just nice color all around. And this is what you want your coins to look like, in my opinion, at least. So that's the whole set. Thank you if you've made it this far. You are a true numismatist. You appreciate Barber half dollars, maybe as much as I do even. And thank you for watching. And like I said, if you have any questions at all about anything, how to grade these, how much I paid for a certain one, where I found one, anything, just feel free to ask, and I'll get back to you. If you have any feedback, just let me know as well. Very much appreciated. And I hope to be back with another video soon. Have a good day.